former mayor, Willie Brown, who helped launch Kamala Harris's career in politics. And I must say, we should acknowledge you had a brief relationship with her.
Okay, let's watch Kamala's ex, and we'll touch on that a little bit in the video. Go from excited to devastated on the election. This is around the time Biden dropped out of the race.
Should Kamala Harris be in charge of the ticket now?
Kamala Harris will be in charge of the ticket. She is probably the one person that can beat Trump.
The Fox News decision desk can now officially project that Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States.
And the goal of Democrats, in spite of their antics in the last 3 weeks, have been to beat Trump.
The thing is, do Democrats have like a strong bench? If it wasn't Kamala, who else would it have been? I think Trump would have beaten any Democrat they would have put up.
What's going on behind the scenes as far as her possible vice presidential?
Our vice
His take here is a little bit interesting.
presidential nominee could, in fact, be decisive. I am pushing like hell that the governor of Michigan gets the nod. So it'll be an all-women's ticket. There's never, ever been an all-women's ticket in America.
At first glance, that sounds very cringe, very identity politics. His rationale is a lot more reasonable than the rationale for many top Democrats, though, today.
It would be the most fascinating challenge ever, particularly since the Republicans chose Trump as their person, and he is the most anti-female person holding public office or attempting to hold public office.
It is still
Not that part. That part's Trump derangement syndrome, but the thing he says after this,
a sexist world, though. What about Shapiro? What about Mark Kelly? What about someone along those lines?
I think you really do, if you want to win and you want to beat Trump, you've got to become the lead in all the news stories from now till November 5th.
that's not bad logic. Maybe it's not true. Maybe two women would have done even worse, but the idea that you got to compete with Trump for headlines, I think, is incredibly sound. Democrats for 10 years have totally not figured out how to do that. They take the opposite approach. They hide. How's that working out for you?
And when you're going to have women from all over this country, if not the world, commenting one way or another.
At the very least, it's an interesting point of view. And this guy is a pretty popular figure, apparently, in California politics and has been for some time. Okay, I'll play two very short parts from this clip here now. I'd put these in the bucket of very bad takes.
So I want to start with the question that is on everybody's minds. Will she win?
Yes.
It is now official. CNN projects that Donald Trump has been elected president.
You understand, I disagree with her. Biden was going to win.
Biden was going to win. This was post-Biden and Trump debate too, by the way. Still saying Biden was going to win. I don't know, man. Willie Brown was actually somewhat a part of the 2024 campaign when Donald Trump told this story on stage.
I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing, and Willie was, he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years, but he told me terrible things about her. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
Now, Willie Brown actually refutes this story, saying this did not happen.
Former president telling us how he sat side by side with you during a near helicopter crash, and it was all news to you. You had no idea any of that had ever happened.
No question, and I'm sure that it's just a terrible mistake on his part. I'm sorry he made the mistake. I don't like the idea that he would say that I said some nasty things about the next president of the United States. That's just not true at all.
The next president?
With Arizona, the Republican prevails in all swing states.
Okay, well, maybe it was all just an honest mistake. Now, meanwhile, we do know, because it's very much on the record and certainly no secret, that you knew Kamala Harris, you worked with her in San Francisco. You dated Kamala Harris when she was an up-and-coming California prosecutor. And I know you've been mentor to a lot of big figures in Democrat politics. Gary.
So there he mentioned that Willie Brown dated Kamala Harris. Some people have, let's say, called into question this relationship.
She was 29 to 30 and he was 60. Willie Brown, who was like the godfather of San Francisco politics and very well known.
This video, however, is not going to be a deep dive into that subject, although I do think it made sense to at least bring it up.
Things could have turned out differently. Who knows? You could be on your way to becoming the first gentleman of the United States, Mr. Mayor.
Well, no, that would not be anywhere near possible.
Okay.
And at my age, I should be going out maybe with President Biden, not future president.
This guy has a lot of bad takes, but he's also kind of funny. He's kind of charismatic. I guess I can see why he's been popular in California for quite some time, at least in the circles of Democrats. Again, I'm not that aware of who this person was, at least before 2024.
No. Now, knowing Kamala Harris as you do, well, as someone who had that close relationship, is she someone, do you believe, who's going to be likable to the American voter?
Well, I think Kamala Harris is maybe the most outstanding candidate that we Democrats could present to the public.
She lost 31 states. He swept the swing states.
The funny part is it's maybe not even that incorrect. Who else could the Democrats have put up? There's not like just a Democrat star waiting in the wings. AOC? Jasmine Crockett?
Every single day to lift working people out from under the boots of greed, trampling on our way of life. The final thing that I will say is that this election is the best example of why y'all are so afraid of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because then you can't have a simple-minded, underqualified white man somehow end up ascending. Instead, you've got to pay attention to the qualified black woman.
They're talking here about Willie Brown not going to the 2024 DNC.
I'm sure you'd have been very welcome in Chicago there, endorsing Kamala Harris on the platform. Maybe you're being sensitive. You didn't want to make her husband jealous. I don't know. But what about if you were offered? What about if you were offered a?
These guys are kind of funny. Now we're going to get to the election night itself. Here's an interview Brown did on election night.
We've been joined by a towering figure in San Francisco politics, Democrat politics, former Mayor Willie Brown, who helped launch Kamala Harris's career in politics. And I must say, we should acknowledge you had a brief relationship with her in the 1990s, way back when. And what are you hearing from the Democrats over in D.C., where Kamala Harris is waiting out on this result tonight?
And believe me, it was as if I was talking to a group of people celebrating, not being concerned.
And that is on election night, celebrating.
He is now the second president in U.S. history to win non-consecutive terms.
Do you think she's done it, do you, from what you're hearing with her team?
Absolutely. And let me tell you, it's being reflected all over San Francisco.
Wow, in San Francisco, people are excited about Kamala. How shocking. San Francisco, California.
She hasn't necessarily got the same traction with Latino voters. She may not have got the same traction with young black voters. Why is it's interesting, isn't it? It's not all. It's a nuanced picture here.
I really believe that all of those measurements are inconsistent with the reality.
What is this? 2016 in reverse? You think there was going to be like the opposite effect that Trump enjoyed in 16? Not the case. Obviously, Kamala did not perform up to expectations with Hispanics and with African Americans.
NBC News exit polls show that Trump made some inroads, gaining ground among black voters in North Carolina and more than doubling his support from black voters in Wisconsin.
Trump made historic gains among Latino voters this election. How historic? Well, exit polls show 46% of the voting bloc supported him. That is a record high for the Republican Party. That's compared to 32% in 2020.
Movement through the streets clearly indicate there is a difference in the interpretation that's been given by those who professionally measure versus those who are actually
out there.
Again, that sounds like some of the comments you were hearing in 2016 about Trump. It's just that in 2016, it was actually true. Okay, now we are post-election.
We won. We won.
Democrats, we Democrats, have read the tea leaves incorrectly. We were so far off, and in the process of our being so far off, we took most of the people we rely upon to do polling and similar kind of measurements of attitudes. We took their advice and their counsel. Not one of them got it right. Not.
Look, this guy's like 90 or 91 years old. I think that was a more honest postmortem than many people gave, like in Kamala's campaign or just in the media in general. Maybe the Democrats should give this guy a call. I don't know.
And she did a hell of a job in the 100 days, unlike anything anybody else.
So obviously some mixed messaging there. Those seem like they're a little bit contradictory.
We were not even the advocates for no tax on tips in restaurants and things of that nature. We don't tell the people what they need to know. Don't tell them that they need a Tesla automobile because it's electric. Those people, our voters, are the people who are buying used cars, not Teslas and cars of that nature.
That point on the used cars and the Teslas, like all I've ever driven is used cars. If the government or whatever says, oh, EV mandate, I want to buy a used car. Those EV cars aren't going to be like used for quite some time. That is just such a good point again.
We left them because we didn't hear them. And when Trump was a terrible person in every way, literally.
And see, I can't he ruins it. You're ruining it, man. Does he believe that? Does he think that's going to help his career or his legacy? I mean, he's quite old, but why put that in there then?
And he really bushwhacked us. He really got us in all categories. And it's the worst defeat in all of my 70, 75 years of politics.
So just give Trump credit then. I don't know why every Democrat seems to want to do that. Oh, but Trump's so bad. And okay, to close this video out, a relatively recent interview he did on Newsmax.
We Democrats would probably have lost that election no matter who our candidate was going to be. Donald Trump was just too smart, too clever, and he's playing that same game again. And believe me, it's causing us to look awfully bad under these circumstances.
What do you think?
I don't know what game he means, but MAGA.
This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again.
But anyway, with that said, thank you for watching, like and subscribe, and have a great day.